Yesterday was actually a pretty nice day if you think about it. The sun kind of came out for a little while. It was a pretty decent day.
It was.
I'm not sure today will be that same day. And how about the thunder and lightning that we kind of makes you realize it's springtime. Mm-hmm. Today, of course, is St. Patrick's Day. And everybody will be wearing green and all of that fun stuff. And the restaurants, of course, will be serving up the corned beef and cabbage today. It's a big day. You know, that's tonight. I believe tickets are still available for Marshall Tucker Band. Swamp Drivers opening up. That's a local band, and if you recall, these guys make their own instruments, and they make them out of unique things. So he's telling me he's got a brand new guitar that he's going to bring in this morning, and he'll play it for us in studio, and I'm pretty excited about that. It's incredible. They'll put a video up on YouTube, and they get unbelievable numbers, like huge millions of hits, all across the world for these crazy looking guitars that they make, and they really play, and they're pretty amazing. I feel like Trump. They're amazing. They're very amazing. The guitars are amazing. Trust me. Today is today the game start.
Yes.
Tournament starts today.
Yes.
So big day today. Low productivity. That's everybody talking about how it's going to cost so much. It'll cost business so much because employees will be just all around the television.
You know, and as I like to say, just dock it from the nights and weekends that you've been working. So it all evens out in the end. But the full slate of action, go ahead. Full slate of action today begins at 12:15. There's 16 games today, 16 today and 16 tomorrow. It's madness.
And there's a lot of March Madness. There's a lot of there's a lot of different opportunities now where you can watch the games. You can watch them on your cell phone, on a computer, and of course, you know, traditionally you could watch them on television. I know that Apple TV has a new app out that is March Madness app. You can watch all the games, and here's something cool out of that. This on Apple TV allows you to do a split screen. So if you're really into betting, you can watch two games at the same time. And I'm assuming that's there would be a lot of that going on. And in addition to the brackets that everybody gets into. The story about the guy from Alien, the father from Alien who tricked his daughter into a text messaging relationship, then somehow pretended that the boy had committed suicide, and then began having a sexual relationship with his daughter. Terrible story. He could be facing, or he is facing, up to 250 years in prison. The New York Post has the story. This has gone national. It's all over the country right now. The New York Post printed, and they may have gotten this from Syracuse.com, but they printed excerpts from the actual, from the trial court documents, and they printed some of the text messages that went back and forth between the father, who was pretending to be a 16-year-old boy, and the girl. She was the one that was trying to break it off. She said, all you ever want to talk about is sex. A relationship is more than sex. Meanwhile, this is like a 14-year-old girl at the time. And
poor thing. Oh, my gosh.
Terrible that this is, and come to find out, and even in the text messages, she says, if my father were to ever find out, he would kill me. Little did this little girl know that it was her father that was doing this. Just awful, just the most terrible thing in the world. And again, she went to speak to a school nurse. If it wasn't for that, if it wasn't for being able to trust a school nurse, where would she be? But interesting, in the New York Post story, and it says that in court, the guy began weeping in court when he was told what his potential sentence could be. And he said, I'm sorry, you just have to understand, I'm paraphrasing, you just have to understand the emotion here. I'm giving away many years of my life. So the weeping that was going on in that courtroom seemed to be over himself.
Oh, definitely. If that's what his statement was.
The fact that he was going to be spending so much time the rest of his life in prison. So the tears were not for necessarily what he had done to his daughter, but what the consequences were for him. That's just terrible in itself. And I'm going to tell you something. You know, you hear this a lot. This guy from Subway just went through it. You hear it a lot. You go to prison for a crime like this, and you're in there with maybe somebody who's murdered somebody or a bank robber or something like that. Those guys all have kids, and they could not ever think of doing something like that to a child, let alone their own child. They say the punishment is much greater once you get there.
Yeah, and this is worse than the Fogel thing.
The
in my
most
opinion.
despicable thing that. I don't know how you get worse than the Jared Fogel thing.
Yeah,
How can you? I guess you have to if you're in a courtroom. You got to say, well, this one's worse than that one. But this is the most
It was his
terrible
daughter.
betrayal.
It was his daughter. Yeah.
That it's his daughter. I mean, I don't know how. Boy, just terrible. But that story all over the place. And in yesterday's New York Post. 6:30, Christine has news coming up next. Hold tight. It's First News Keeler in the morning. Thursday, St. Patrick's Day at WIBX.